Welcome back to another property update video, my friends, and today we'll be looking into the biggest stories and news that you guys need to know. So let's kick it off straight away with the UK market's house prices. Now Zoopla has reported in the latest market index that the average price of the UK homes has now topped in excess of 250,000 for the first time. However, the amount of sellers reducing their asking prices and the time taken to sell properties has actually increased. And if you remember last month's update video, this wasn't the case. So could this now mean that the market may begin to actually show signs that it's now cooling down despite the peak in prices? And if we just quickly touch on those, the stats towards the end of April showed that 1 in 20 properties had reductions in their prices by 5% or more, whereas the month prior to that it was actually 1 in 22. So yes, not a huge amount, but nonetheless it was still a slowdown in house prices. And if we quickly look at the sellers, rather than agreeing and selling a property within 16 days, as we saw in March, the average time span for that now was around 18 days as of April, with London being almost its own market, having 17 days in March to 21 days in April from having its sale price agreed. Next up, my friends, let's look at the Telegraph reports, where Nationwide states and sends out a warning that consumer confidence is now falling. And it's crazy because property values jumped up 11.2% in year to end of May. But if we looked at April to April, it was 12.1%. Now, in terms of the average value that the house prices increased from April to May, if you're interested, the actual figure was £2,294, reaching £269,914 as a total. And as I've mentioned before on other videos, the cost of living combined with inflation is giving potential homeowners now something to think about and just causing them to be that little bit more cautious. And on a final point from this article, worth noting is that the Bank of England is expected to raise their interest rates again this year, which may well add to the slowdown we are now actually starting to see from a statistical perspective. Moving on. Sarah Coles published this article about the UK market now potentially on the verge of seeing house prices go down. And the rationale behind this is that rising prices of houses along with the increasing mortgage rates will all make home ownership that much tougher and unfortunately less appealing. And with Moneyfacts now reporting that the Bank of England, again, could increase their rates, they expect to see the averages top 4% for a 2-year mortgage fix, which is currently sitting at around 3.03%, just under a 1% increase, which ain't pretty, guys, given the way that wages are increasing in comparison to the cost of living and just the way life is right now. However, one thing worth noting is that 95% of people taking out mortgages right now are opting for fixed rates, and more than usual are opting for 5-year fixes rather than the 2-year fixes when compared with historical data. In fact, the stats show that now 45% of people are opting for 5-year fixed mortgages. Moving on, let's look at the rental market. It's no secret that more and more people are renting, either by choice or because they sadly have to, as millions are unable to get on the property ladder. The UK monthly rents have reached 14-year highs, growing to £995 in just the first quarter of this year. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that this is down to the supply not meeting the demand for people wanting a house. And quickly, another article I found interesting was that one major city in the UK actually has already seen its house prices fall despite the market across the whole of UK generally booming. And this major city was in fact Aberdeen, where house prices have actually fallen recently. There was a drop by 1.7%. And if you're interested in seeing those with the largest percentage increases, then look no further, my friends. Here's the list. P.S. It's also a great time to smash that like button if you find any of these videos useful, as it sincerely helps me out. And just by looking at that list, my friends, we can see some big increases just in the last 12 months. Now, some final useful pointers before we kind of wrap this very short property update video is that we all know how crazy and tough it is out there just to get by for many, let alone buy a house and fulfill that dream that many of us have. We know that house prices are now 8.5 times the average earnings, with many believing that the vast majority of the country will sadly continue to rent for the rest of their lives. And we also know, if we look back a little bit, way before my time, that in 1952, the average house prices were only 4.3 times higher in real terms. So it's definitely true that people today have it harder than those back in the day. And I do feel for those. But as I promise you all, the goal of this channel is to help you all get that first house or investment property much quicker than I did, and in a better fashion as well, saving money and heartache along the way. So with that, my friends, I'm going to end this video here, and I just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to sit around and watch where you guys couldn't be doing anything, but instead you chose to spend a few moments with me. So with that, I thank you sincerely and hope you have an awesome day. Thanks for watching.